Installing alternating current voltage for a coolant heater in the same conduit as generator control wiring can present several problems. Firstly, and most significantly, is the potential for unacceptable interference. The generator supplier's recommendation against this practice should be taken seriously. They likely have specific reasons based on the generator's design and the sensitivity of its control systems. Alternating current voltage in the coolant heater wiring can induce a voltage into the generator control wiring. This induced voltage, even if small, can disrupt the delicate signals used to control the generator's operation. It may cause the generator to malfunction, fail to start or stop correctly, or experience other operational issues. Secondly, installing audio-visual wiring, or AV wiring, in the same conduit as the feed from the generator is also problematic. The feed from the generator is a power circuit, meaning it carries a substantial amount of current. Running AV wiring alongside this high current feed can create a hazardous situation. The electromagnetic field generated by the power circuit can induce unwanted voltages and currents in the AV wiring, degrading the signal quality and potentially damaging the AV equipment. Furthermore, a fault in the power circuit could lead to a dangerous voltage being applied to the AV wiring, creating a shock hazard. The best practice is to always install AV wiring in a separate conduit from power circuits. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, addresses the separation of different types of wiring in various articles. While there might not be a specific article that explicitly prohibits running coolant heater wiring with generator control wiring, or AV wiring with generator feeds, the underlying principles of the code emphasize safety and the prevention of interference. Article 300.3 C1 in the NEC covers the installation of conductors of different systems within the same raceway, cable, or enclosure. It requires that all conductors be insulated for the maximum voltage of any conductor within the raceway or cable. While this addresses insulation requirements, it doesn't eliminate the potential for interference. Article 300.8 of the NEC addresses the installation of electrical equipment in wet or damp locations and the need to prevent the accumulation of moisture or water within raceways or enclosures. This is important to consider, especially for outdoor generator installations where condensation or water ingress could be a concern. Article 310 covers conductors for general wiring and provides information on conductor ampacity, insulation types, and installation requirements. It is crucial to select the correct conductor size and insulation type for both the coolant heater wiring and the generator feed wiring, taking into account the operating temperature and environmental conditions. Article 700 addresses emergency systems, and Article 701 covers legally required standby systems. If the generator is part of an emergency or standby system, there may be additional requirements for the separation and protection of wiring to ensure the reliable operation of the system during a power outage. Article 702 addresses optional standby systems. While these systems are not legally required, the NEC still provides guidelines for their installation to ensure safety and prevent interference. To prevent interference, shielded cables can be used for the generator control wiring. Shielded cables have a metallic layer that surrounds the conductors, which helps to block electromagnetic interference. The shield should be properly grounded to provide an effective path for the interference to dissipate. Another technique is to use twisted pair wiring for the generator control wiring. Twisted pair wiring consists of two conductors that are twisted together, which helps to cancel out electromagnetic interference. The twisting of the conductors ensures that any interference that is induced into one conductor is also induced into the other conductor, but with opposite polarity. This cancels out the interference. Separation is key. Maintain a physical separation between the coolant heater wiring and the generator control wiring, as well as between the generator feed and the AV wiring. This can be achieved by using separate conduits, or by maintaining a sufficient distance between the wiring if they are installed in open wiring. Another method to consider is using filters. Install filters on the coolant heater wiring to reduce the amount of electromagnetic interference that it generates. Filters can be installed at the point where the wiring connects to the coolant heater or at the point where it connects to the power source. Grounding is also very important. Ensure that all equipment is properly grounded to provide a low impedance path for fault currents to flow. This helps to prevent the buildup of voltage on the equipment, which could cause interference or electric shock. Consider using fiber optic cables for the AV wiring. Fiber optic cables are immune to electromagnetic interference, so they are a good choice for applications where interference is a concern. They transmit data using light instead of electricity, so they are not affected by electromagnetic fields. When selecting the conduit for the electrical installation, consider using metallic conduit. Metallic conduit provides better shielding from electromagnetic interference compared to non-metallic conduit. The metal conduit acts as a Faraday cage, which helps to block electromagnetic fields. When running the wiring, avoid running it parallel to other sources of interference such as motors, transformers, or fluorescent lights. These devices can generate electromagnetic fields that can interfere with the generator control wiring and the AV wiring. If it is necessary to run the wiring near these devices, try to maintain a sufficient distance between them. Furthermore, when installing the wiring, follow the manufacturer's recommendations for bending radius and support spacing. Bending the wiring too sharply can damage the insulation and increase the risk of interference. Supporting the wiring properly can help to prevent it from sagging or rubbing against other objects, which could also damage the insulation. Consider consulting with a qualified electrical engineer or technician to ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and standards, and to minimize the risk of interference. An experienced professional can assess the specific site conditions and recommend the best wiring methods and materials to use. It is important to document the electrical installation, including the wiring diagrams, the materials used, and the test results. This documentation can be helpful for troubleshooting any problems that may arise in the future. Regular maintenance and inspection of the electrical installation can help to identify and correct any potential problems before they become serious. This includes checking the wiring for damage, tightening connections, and testing the grounding system. In summary, separating the alternating current, coolant, heater voltage wiring from the generator control wiring and separating the generator feed from the audio-visual wiring is crucial for safety and performance. By following these guidelines, you can minimize the risk of interference and ensure the reliable operation of the generator and the AV equipment. Remember to always consult with a qualified electrician and adhere to the National Electrical Code, or NEC, for all electrical installations.